You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCCW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com. Trick or treat, Lone Star Radio listeners. This is Dick, the general manager, taking this quick moment to remind you that Lone Star Community Radio is looking to fill some of our talk show slots along with some of our DJ slots. We have a new show airing on the 10th, Making Connections with Stacey Harris, which will air every second Tuesday of the month at 1 p.m. Make sure to check it out along with our other programs on Lone Star Community Radio. For more information on Lone Star Community Radio, visit us online at irlonestar.com. And again, if you're interested in doing something with us, call the station 936-647-3776. Thanks for checking out this recording, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into Jake from Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jake LaFleur. Glad to have you all back into the IR Lone Star studios for another edition of my crazy antics on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. Glad to have you back in, guys. Don't forget to go follow my social media pages, like, subscribe, do everything you need to do there. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast version of this show. It's aired up usually within 24 to 48 hours on YouTube, Google Play, and iTunes. Depends on how much Dick is feeling productive on any given evening, whether or not he updates those, gets them uploaded up on the interwebs quickly or not. He's the lazy engineer. I'm the active engineer.
You should check your Jake's from Sports Talk Gmail account more often.
What about it?
I send you the link every
I know. I get it every time.
Don't you throw me on the bus.
I will. I'll throw you right.
I'll take you to the Bulls locker room.
Oh, yeah? Will you? Will you punch me in the face and break a bone in my face?
I'll make myself known to your face.
Oh, yeah? And get suspended for 8 days? Then he'll run the station.
Yeah, that's true. It's worth it. I get paid big bucks.
Oh, yeah. Big bucks. That check's on the mail, by the way.
Good deal.
Oh, yes. Well, welcome back in, guys. We have sports. Sports. And a lot of sports. Too much sports. Way too much. And what has happened over the last week in the world of sports has been crazy, nuts, and quite frankly, a lot of fun. Crazy football weekend this past weekend at both levels, NFL and NCAA. MLB playoffs going on right now. NBA kicked off last night with a snap, crackle, and pop. There we go. I was going to get it out eventually. We got social issues to talk about, cockamamie court issues, and some more that would require me to have basically a 4-hour show, but I don't have the format for that yet. Unfortunately, Dick does not like me that much. But as always, let's start our week off with the heavy stuff of a week in a wrap. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Get it on. Let's start with football. NFL talk. NFL, we saw an exciting week this past week in week 6. Upset galore. Underdog teams going in were 10-2 this past weekend. 10-2. I don't know the statistics behind it, but I know that does not happen very often, and I would be willing to bet that it's been a while since that has occurred. So, Steelers, big one there. Go on the road to Kansas City and get a win, 19-13. Quiet the critics down after Big Ben's, tough 5-pick week last weekend. Offense finally looked back to where they were at. I know 19 points, it isn't a whole lot, but it's better than where we were at. We saw the ball get spread around a little more on the offensive side of things, so that was really good. Also, we had the Chargers beat the Raiders 17-16. It was a close one, but Chargers finally get their first win of the year. Cardinals take out the Bucs. Big help there with Jameis Winston going down. He is possible for this upcoming weekend. He's day-to-day at the moment right now. Bears over the Ravens in overtime. Joe Flacco is done as far as I'm concerned. His career has been on the decline, and there's no bounce back for it. He had 2 explosion seasons, got himself a nice 5-year contract, and has not done much since. That's the Bears' second overtime win this year already, too, and only 6 games in. Dolphins, big shocker, up over the Falcons in Atlanta, 20-17. It was a fun game to watch. Atlanta was up 17-0, couldn't score anything in the second half. Dolphins come back to beat them. It was an exciting one and a sad one, fantasy-wise. Matt Ryan is my quarterback, and man, he stinks this year as far as fantasy is concerned. And then the biggest one of all, Sunday Night Football. New York Football Giants going on the road, getting a 100-yard rusher in Denver, beating the Broncos 23-10, finally getting their first win. A 100-yard rusher was nuts out of that offense and that offensive line. Darkwa played, just out of his mind. It was incredible. And that defense out of Denver is kind of up and down right now. We don't know what they are week to week. To give up 23 points to that offense is pretty sad, especially with all the receivers they're missing. But it was a huge shocker and just shows, how little anybody can predict of, what's going to happen week to week in the NFL. Carrying it on over to the depth chart talk as far as injuries go. Big one from I already mentioned the Jameis Winston one, but the big one from this past weekend was Aaron Rodgers going down with a season-ending collarbone break. He did have surgery already this week. He will be out. And we're going to get into McCarthy's talk a little bit with with Colin Kaepernick and the whole collusion case and everything coming up a little bit later in the show. But that's a huge loss for that team. A huge loss for that team. And other news, same division, Teddy Bridgewater comes off the PUP list today. Player unable to perform list. The PUP list, what that means for the quarterback situation there for the Vikings is kind of a tricky situation. You drafted Bridgewater, you brought him in to basically be your franchise quarterback, has this freak accident, freak injury during your practice, and you kind of have to scramble and come up with another option. Sam Bradford has been, good for you, but he hasn't been reliable because he can't stay healthy, and that's been Bradford's problem throughout his entire career. Then you've got Case Keenum. And Keenum has been more than reliable as far as health goes, and he has been playing actually rather well. We've seen Keenum do well in stints. We as Houstonians down here, we've seen that. He did that for the Texans. Where my concern would be is if you're not going to use Bridgewater right now, are you going to trade him? You going to try to get something for him? Are you going to try to make a transaction out of that? I don't know. I don't know where you can. There's teams that would want him, but I don't know where you're going to get the value for him right now because nobody knows what he is. Nobody knows what he can do. And in all reality, I wouldn't get rid of him because you don't know what Bradford's going to do. And you're going to have, Case Keenum on the depth chart all year by himself? It's a lot of pressure on a guy who, isn't the greatest. It's not like he's a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers or a Peyton Manning, but so I don't know if getting rid of Bridgewater is exactly the right answer. I kind of want to see what he's got left in the tank. I want to see what that new bionic leg with 13 screws in it can do. So my opinion, I gotta let him have an open competition for it. I gotta let Bridgewater have the ability to earn back that position. It's one, and I hate to say that it's one of those situations where a starter shouldn't lose his job due to injury, but I don't agree with that statement. But I also agree that in this situation, Teddy Bridgewater is a better quarterback than Case Keenum prior to this injury. So I have to imagine that with the proper doctor care and their medical care and the proper recovery process and everything like that, I got to imagine that Bridgewater is going to come back better and still be better than Case Keenum, but we don't know. I don't know. Nobody's seen what he can do at the moment. And Sam Bradford's just not reliable. Those legs, his lower body, waist down, just he's a ticking time bomb essentially. So It's a crapshoot with him. So it's a tricky situation. I'll be curious to see how the Vikings handle it. All right, now over to the college side of football. We got the upset weekend started early on Friday. Number 2, Clemson goes down to Syracuse, unranked Syracuse, 27-24. Exciting game to watch, a lot of fun. And number 8, Washington State gets whooped by Cal, 37-3. Unranked Cal whooped up on them. A lot of people picking Washington State to go to the Pac-12 championship game. But those pesky Friday night teams, they continuously just trip up and provide the upset constantly. If I'm a college program, I'm not playing a Friday night game. I'm heck no, no way. And then it continued over. It carried on over to Saturday. It was upset weekend all over the place. You got number 24, Texas Tech losing to West Virginia. You got number 25 being taken out by Memphis. Number 25, Navy, being taken out by Memphis. Number 19, San Diego State getting spanked by Boise. Arizona State hung in there. It was a close one, 13-7, beating number 5, Washington. Unranked Arizona State. Unranked team that has looked pitiful this year. It just showed up on the road at Washington and beats the number 5 team. And then my personal favorite. I know I got my Sam shirt on today, and Sam had a great win this past weekend too. But LSU taking out number 10, Auburn. Oh, it was so sweet. So sweet. 7 top 25 teams and 4 top 10 teams go down this week. Talk about a shakeup. And Notre Dame's got to be loving this. USC's got to be loving this. Alabama, Georgia, these teams. Now, USC's got a loss. Oklahoma's got a loss, but they're loving this too because that takes... It's basically now it's a battle of the one-loss teams, right? Because you've still got Penn State undefeated. You've got Georgia undefeated. You've got Alabama undefeated. Those are your last big name remaining ones. No, I take that back. Sorry. TCU. TCU's still undefeated as well. And so those four teams right now are basically what's going to end up. They're making up your top 4 right now, but. Those teams are liking this because now they have room for error, right? And then all the other teams that lost prior to this week, they're like, okay, with some of the field's coming back to us. Now, Georgia and Alabama, one of those 2 teams are going to finish with 1 loss, and because they're going to have to play each other in the SEC championship game. So that's a plus there. If Penn State, at this point, if Penn State and TCU win out, they're in. There's no other way around it. Notre Dame is loving this because they've got a chance now, right? If they can win out, win that ACC, and have their only loss be to Georgia, who goes with undefeated or 1 loss, most likely 1 loss to Alabama. But that's a strong argument right there to say Notre Dame should be in that Final Four. So, and it wasn't like they got killed by Georgia. It was rainy conditions. They were at home. It was raining conditions. And it was a really close game. I think it was a 3-point differential. I don't have the score in front of me right now, but I think it was a 3-point differential. So Notre Dame's got to be loving this. They've got a tough test this week. They're number 14 now. They're going to be playing at home against USC this upcoming week, number 13. So I think they should get the win. But if they can win that, they've got Miami left to play. They've got Georgia Tech left to play. And I think those are really going to be their last 3 big tests. And then the ACC championship game. So you're looking at if Notre Dame can win out and have their only loss be to Georgia, in my opinion, with just the name that comes with the school, they're in. And I think now it may take a Penn State loss or a TCU loss. But we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see how they play out. Penn State's got a tough road ahead to get out of that Big Ten. That's tough. Big 12 is so unpredictable. Although TCU has looked consistently just number 1, top notch throughout the entire week, but they don't have an easy road ahead either. So we got a long way to go. The only thing I think I can come out of this and say is, and I don't want to jinx Notre Dame, but the Pac-12 is is not as good as everybody makes it out. Every year we rank them high, and we rank them high, and we rank them high, and we go on them. And I think it was my second show ever. I told you guys, I don't trust the Pac-12 right now. Not to say that can't change in the future. I don't trust the Pac-12 right now. It's just, it's not going to happen. All right, enough football talk. Let's go on to the NBA before we have to go to our break really quick. Rockets edge out a win against the defending NBA champions, Golden State Warriors, who lost for the second time in a row, their season opener. And the Rockets won 122 to 121 on the night that the Golden State Warriors got their ring. They got their banner. It was a big celebration there. And Kevin Durant goes down, inbounds the ball, gets pass here, gets it back on the arc, shoots, sinks the bucket, but hit it at the buzzer, and it was too late of a shot, and it got waved off after review. The new owner, Tillman Fertitta, ran out onto the court, was hugging his players like he was the happiest man alive. It was really funny to watch. I don't think I've ever quite seen an owner react that way. He acted like they just won the world championship, and it was kind of like, calm down. It's 1 of 82. Let's be patient here. The biggest note out of this one, though, James Harden and CP3 did not look that they weren't in sync yet. And I understand it may take some time, but the big factor and the reason why they won this one was because of the bench play and the defensive help, as well as, and more so, the offensive help that came off of the bench. And if the Rockets can keep that going for an 82-game plus stretch, I had them at the 4th seed out of the West right now. I think that they could improve that up to maybe the 3rd or possibly even the 2nd. We'll have to see what OKC can put on the court. The other game that was going on last night was actually the first game. I saved it for the second discussion, though, was the Cavaliers versus the Celtics. Cavs win 102 to 99. LeBron had 29 points, 9 assists, and 16 rebounds. Looked very good on was, quote-unquote, a weak bum ankle. Who knows? He was probably just being a baby to be a baby because he's LeBron James, right? He's a baby. But the sweet man that Gordon Hayward is, and I feel for him so bad on a day like today, going to Boston to play for that specific coach when you had all the choice in the world in the offseason, but leaving Utah where you were happy to go play with this coach, to be even happier, to have a better chance at winning, to uproot your family and move them across the country. So excited to start this new life with his new basketball family and really compete for not an NBA title, let's be honest, but an NBA East title. And to have it all stripped away in the first game of the year, in the first quarter, 6 minutes in. Breaks his leg and dislocates his ankle. It was a fractured tibia, and dislocated ankle. If you have a stomach to watch this sort of stuff, go watch it. It's a gruesome, shocking video. But man, if you don't have the stomach for it, don't watch it. And on a day like, you're just in so much. He was in so much shock, and he couldn't believe it. And whether you're a fan of the basketball world or not, it doesn't matter. You feel for the guy because you know what he went through. You know what they go through in the off season to get ready. And man, I saw it for the first time last night, and I broke my ankle last April. I have a plate and 6 screws in there right now, and my ankle started hurting when I saw that video. It was really tough. All right, when we come back, we're gonna talk Colin Kaepernick and the collusion charges and what potential effect the meeting with the NFL players and Roger Goodell had on potential collusion on Colin Kaepernick. So stay tuned. You are listening to Jake from Sports Talk here on 104.5, 106.1 and worldwide on irlonestar.com. We'll be right back.
A Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776. to take your first step into the radio world.
Welcome back into Jake from Sports Talk. Glad to have you all back in, man. And it is a gorgeous day outside. I hope the rain stays away this weekend. I would like to get out and go do some golfing. Dick, when was the last time you golfed?
I don't know.
You played back in high school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you any good?
Oh, yeah.
Like 20s? You shot in the 20s?
That's not, you're trying to trick me there.
What was your best score? What's your best round?
I think it was like 82 or 84.
Really?
Yeah, at one point, because I was playing like every day basically, or shooting.
Yeah, that was my freshman year of college, and I got my score down to an 89. That's the best I've ever shot.
So
Sorry, Dad. Instead of going to college, go to class, I would play golf. It was only $11 at the LSU golf course. So, and it was a beautiful course, but we got the student discount, so it was only $11 with card. So, sorry, Mom and Dad. It was a fun year. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot of life lessons.
that's just like everybody.
So, all right, yeah, like I teased before we went to the break, Colin Kaepernick has filed a lawsuit against the NFL for the. No, you don't have to turn your mic off. You can come in on this. Because you've researched some of this as well. So, because we have talked about this on Dick's morning show. He has it with Skippy. It's called Mornings with Lone Star. I occasionally feature it. So, come on and listen to me because I'm awesome. But yeah, so Colin Kaepernick and the collusion charge. One of the things y'all brought up was not everybody knows what collusion means, right? And the fact that people need to become more educated about it. I think that demographic fits more in for y'all's listeners rather than my listeners, because I feel like a lot of the sports fans know what it means just due to fantasy football and fantasy sports talk and the use of collusion within those leagues. And if I've got any of my friends listening from my personal fantasy football league, I'm tired of all the collusion that goes on in our league, and it needs to stop. But with that said, the NFL has not come back out and hasn't really made any true response to this yet and everything like that. But Colin Kaepernick is basically saying that, hey, look, 32 teams got together and decided that they were not going to allow him to play. And Dick, I'm curious. I mean, do you think that's even possible? Do you think it's feasible? And not can he prove it, but do you think the league would actually do something like that?
Well, I really don't know the relationship between the owners, the coaches, and also the staff or whatever the NFL has, because I do know they try to do their best to protect everyone when it comes to their money and it comes to distributing that money.
Yeah,
and everybody's happy at one point. With the collusion on a player, I don't know if they're going to be micromanaging that much. I think it's more of like, especially with a team-based sport, you're always focused on the team, I imagine, a lot. And I imagine people who are making those decisions on the team level aren't going to allow that because it's going to divide the team.
Yeah.
Or distraction for the team.
No, and if it occurred.
So I think, to answer your question, do I think they actually had a memo going out to everybody and everyone said yes or no? I doubt that. I think it was more of just the whole mentality of the league is just tired of wanting to incorporate that into the actual football angle of the game.
Yeah, I think if you were to talk to a lot of the coaches, and we'll get into the McCarthy reaction that he had when asked about about potentially bringing him in to replace Aaron Rodgers, but the idea that 32 grown men, and it would not have trickled down below the owners. If this did occur, if there was collusion, it would have been owners and GMs. That's about the extent of how deep it would have gone into the organizations. Because they know, if they had brought it down to like the coaching level, how quickly that would have gotten out. Just because everybody that talks.
Well, yeah, that's what and like each team has their own relationship with an owner and GM.
Yeah.
Isn't like Bill Belichick both?
Well, no. He's not the GM. No. He helps make decisions during the draft time.
But he's more involved.
Yeah, he's more involved. Him and Robert Kraft, Kraft's the owner, they're really tight. And that's a very much of a love-love relationship there. So, but but I just can't see, and I can't see it even having a paper trail. Like, there's no way. And so that then it comes on that he's got to prove this. He's got to. What do you think it takes to prove a collusion case? He's got to have direct evidence.
I mean, really, probably what happened was if I had to guess, someone told him, "Hey, I got somebody telling me of this collusion," and that's it. That's all the source. It's someone else telling somebody else. It's not, "Oh, hey, here's the memo that was sent out to all 32 teams to this one person."
He said, team. She said's not going to fly
No.
in a court of law. There's no way. So, okay, now to relate it into...
Because also what hurts it is the fact that they offered him a contract at all. Because from what I understand about the timeline, teams did offer him a contract, but it wasn't for the money he wanted.
At the very beginning, yes.
Yes, I'm saying. So that's the problem.
And I mean, other teams brought him in and they tried him out, and they basically got a feel for what he wanted to play for. What did he want a starting role? Was he okay being a backup?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what's going to hurt him in this case, because that kind of denies, there was a collusion at the beginning, because that's usually when you start the collusion is at the beginning of the whole scenario.
Yeah, you started
and
right
clearly
away.
He had opportunities and he just it didn't work on his end.
Yeah. Okay. And so now we've got players kneeling and kind of support for him, but more so in the support of his cause and everything like that. And so now we got players kneeling throughout this entire year, and ratings are going down. The NFL's kind of a little bit of a panic mode right now. And so basically they said, "Hey, look, this is what we're going to do. Send your team reps, your player team reps, and let's have a discussion. Let's have a talk." All right. So that talk occurred yesterday. Now the results of that talk, and everybody's being kind of hush hush about this. And it's pretty closed door about it. And there was no cameras or anything. Goodell did come out and talk about it afterwards in a press conference. The summary of his press conference was basically that he was asked, what did y'all talk about? And his response was, we discussed what they were kneeling for, what they wanted out of all this, what was their end goal. They asked if they demanded that they stand for the national anthem. Goodell said, no, we did not demand them. We said, you have, and I don't want to misquote him, but he basically said that they were the modern day Patriots of old, not the New England Patriots, but they're Patriots as far as civilians of America and what they're doing and their protests and everything like that. And he said, we're not against necessarily what they're doing. It's just we wanted to find out why and what can we do as a league to help. So does that meeting help the collusion case? Does it help America's perception of how Kaepernick's getting treated? I mean, is this a step in the right direction, or is it kind of like just a PR mute point, or what?
Well, I imagine, it depends on the lawyer how good they are about turning an argument. Probably the worst thing that he's going to be facing Kaepernick, because he's been recorded so many times on this issue, and that's really going to hurt him. That's why, when you ever get arrested or whatever, you just don't say anything, because it could be used against you. And like in his case, all he says, he keeps saying is, I want to play, I want to play. That's what he keeps saying. Like that's why he keeps talking about is he just wants to play football. That's why this collusion is happening. Yeah. Well, again, if you're the other side, be like, well, listen, Colin, we've given you several opportunities. We have offered you contracts. You've not accepted them. So we try to get you to play, and you decide not to play. So that's where it hurts him in the end. Now, if he chose the other angle where, like, they just didn't want to pay me, and then like they didn't like what my message was. It was about him wanting to play or something like that. It might work in his favor. But then again, like there's so much written down copy about this scenario. It's going to be really hard to prove unless they have the smoking gun.
Well, and I think the reason why it all comes out now is you saw Aaron Rodgers go down, and McCarthy came out and said, no, we're not going with Colin Kaepernick. And it wasn't even that he said he didn't want to go with Colin Kaepernick. He just said he's happy with the quarterbacks in his room, in his QB room. You've got terrible QB play in New York with the Jets, not the Giants, although Eli has not looked the greatest this year either. But with the Jets, you've got Fitzpatrick playing in games. You've got situations where there are quarterbacks that are not as good as Colin Kaepernick. And situationally, scheme-wise, Kaepernick may not fit best in those schemes, and that's why they don't want to go with him. In other cases, they may be being stubborn-headed. I'll get that. But to sit here and say that 32 smart, intelligent individuals got together and said, no, we're not going to do this. I find that very hard to believe. And to get 32 of them to agree on anything is nearly impossible. Go look at like when they tried to move the Raiders to Las Vegas. That didn't get unanimously voted, and that's why you need 2/3 of the votes of all coaches. And so it's to get those guys to agree on all 32 to agree on one thing is nearly impossible. Now, is there certain situations where maybe ownership or maybe coaches or maybe players don't want him in that locker room? Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's more not him; it's more of the cloud.
Yeah.
And I imagine as a coach, or you got to protect your players, and that's always the mentality of a good coach. It's like let's protect these players. Let's not bring that into the locker room. Like I can't imagine the Bulls locker room after that fight.
No, that's nuts.
That's going to be kind of scary, and that happens in all professional sports. As you lose the locker room, you start losing basically the glue that holds a team together day in, day out. So that's why, I think you can't really prove that's collusion, but I think, unfortunately for him as a player, I don't think he's going to be able to play unless he makes some real sacrifices. Maybe the CFL or, wherever else they're playing football.
Arena Football League.
Yeah, so,
in Austin, Texas.
Wherever. That's really what to me, that's what happens when you're making a case like this. That's what he should have done. Like, day one, when he wasn't getting a job, he should have kept playing. And that's when you sue, because you go, hey, I wanted to play, I kept playing,
and they won't let me,
and we can all agree that he didn't make any smart steps, because there's a smart way to do it. It might not be the best way to do it, but there's a smart way to do it.
Well, there's a smart way to do it, even the wrong ways.
Yes,
and even from day one, it just he from the first time he kneeled and the first time he was questioned about it, because he didn't actually get questioned about it after the first time he kneeled. The first time he got questioned about it, he started off on the wrong foot.
Oh, yeah.
And he was...
well, the joke was every time you look at those interviews, it sounds like he's just making it up as he goes.
A babbling fool when he was talking. So it was crazy.
The comment on the thing about the NFL meeting yesterday and about using their governing powers to actually affect legislation, it's going to be interesting to see what mentalities and beliefs develop within the NFL individually, and see if it grows enough to where they convince the NFL to use their power. It's similar to our other show when we're talking to that guy from AAA.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, hey, we have all these people already invested. We can use that power to make change.
And positive change.
Change.
Yeah.
But it's very weird, because you're looking at the NFL. What on paper, what does the NFL have to do with police brutality? If that makes sense. I'm talking like using their governing body, using their power to change the legislation. What does the NFL have to do with it? It's kind of strange.
Outside of the fact that the majority of, or not the majority, but a lot of their players are African American or black, and that's where the majority of the cause is coming from, where the cry out for help is coming from. That would be where the reason why. You see what I'm saying?
As a company, though, I feel... As
a company, they have no actual relation.
That's what I'm saying. On paper, it looks really odd. And especially, you're thinking about in the next 10 seasons of the NFL, what do you do? How do you handle these kind of situations? Because what's going to happen is they're going to start trying to make some type of move in an arena that they have no experience in. The football has no experience in legislation outside of let's just hide the brain concussion things. They're pretty good at that. But I'm talking about actual legislation. So it's gonna or in other areas. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see
bring it over to the politics side of it,
and that's, to me, I think ultimately it's going to hurt them. And then also you look at the numbers of players who are involved in this. It's not. If you look at the percentage, what would we say the percentage of the overall?
Oh, less than. I would say probably less than 5%.
So, see, that's what I'm saying. You're letting 5% of body control something, and that's kind of insane to me.
It's very insane. So, and then in addition to this whole meeting thing, and it's a PR stunt. It really is a PR stunt by the NFL, and I don't want to take away from any good that it may do, but it's definitely a PR stunt. See it for what it is, because you got to look at who was there and who wasn't there, and who wasn't there was more important. The owner for the Dallas Cowboys, the owner for the Panthers, and the owners, or not Panthers, sorry, Jaguars, and the owners for the Tampa team. Those three have been the biggest vocal leaders opposed to the kneeling during the national anthem, and the three of them were not there. So if you're not going to get everybody on board, if you're not going to get all 32 coaches on board, you're not going to get anything done. And especially Jerry, because Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones are your two most powerful and vocal owners in that league. And so we got to go to break. I know I'm running over, and it's a good topic. But to quickly reference what Dick has made fun of a couple times now, Bobby Portis is a power forward for the Chicago Bulls, and he punched his teammate in the locker room yesterday, Nikola Mirotic, and I know I butchered that last name, but yeah, he punched him in the face and broke his, fractured his jaw, and the Bulls just responded and they suspended him for 8 games today. So, all right, Bulls are a toilet bowl this year. Woo! Stay tuned. You're listening to Jake from Sports Talk. We'll be right back.
Don't forget to download the Lone Star Community Radio app for your Google Play or Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM. That is Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
It's crazy, man. Welcome back into Jake from Sports Talk. You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide at irlonestar.com. Hey, if you missed that good Kaepernick talk with the whole collusion thing and the meeting of the NFL, don't forget, guys, you can always go catch out the podcast version of the show on Google Play and iTunes, and you can always catch the video version on YouTube and Our City TV up here in the greater Montgomery County area. I want to get around a TV when it comes on. It comes on at Fridays at 7. I'm not up here Fridays at 7, so I don't ever know how to do it. But yeah, I see myself on YouTube, but I want to see myself on TV. I think it would be pretty cool to see myself on TV. All right, we're going to make this a real fat rapid fire segment. I want to get to the MLB playoffs, but before we do that, just to stick with the NFL fiasco that's going on right now, Ezekiel Elliott is still battling with the NFL, and it basically, we had 2 breaking stories come out of it. One, it came through this past weekend that in the New Orleans court that the case was currently sitting in, the court ruled in favor of the NFL with a 2-1 vote in the injunction case. So basically, the Texas, I don't know how the court system works. I'm not a lawyer or a judge or anything like that. But so basically what happened was the NFL charged, or basically said, hey, we're giving you a 6-game suspension, Ezekiel. And Zeke went with the PA and filed in the Texas court, and the Texas court granted in favor of Elliott. And basically what that said was, okay, you have to wait until he doesn't have to serve the suspension. There's an injunction. He doesn't have to serve the suspension until it's seen by a Supreme Court of some sort, or a district court, I guess is what it was, whatever the New Orleans court was. So it goes to the New Orleans court, and he plays the first 6 games. And then the New Orleans court comes out and says, okay, you, in 2-1 favor, we find that the NFL was correct, and we are back in the NFL, and you have to serve your 6-game suspension. So basically, now Elliott has, I thought, no options, and he has to play, or he has to serve a 6-game suspension starting immediately. But I guess there was one more trick up the sleeve. I don't know how all this came about, but Elliott responded with filing a temporary freeze, and I know that's probably not the correct terminology for it, but filing a temporary freeze to his case, and to have his case heard in front of Judge Catherine P. Falia. I don't know the direct terminology. She's in New York. I don't know how all this works. I don't know why it goes from Texas to New Orleans to New York. It's very confusing, but the freeze only lasts for 14 days. So if he doesn't see Judge Falia by the end of this 2-week period, then he has to serve the 6-game suspension. And so it's a little cockamamie and how all this plays out. It's really weird. But he's playing for at least 2 more games now, I guess. So, and in all honesty, I mean, Elliot, you should have just taken it at the beginning of the year, man. Like, that was the easiest stretch of your season right there, was those first 6 games. And you should have never lost to Green Bay, even with a healthy Aaron Rodgers, and you didn't help that game. So, there was no point in you playing in the first 6, really. I mean, if you think about it, really. The only reason why I would say it's better that he was around was because they didn't have Darren McFadden, but I mean, how healthy is McFadden still going to be and whatnot? And so McFadden is back. They're going to make him active as soon as Elliott goes out. It's basically what I've read into the situation. Jerry hasn't come out and exactly said that, but that's how I'm reading it. So I don't drag it on, Zeke. Just take your 6-game suspension, because watch, you're going to end up having to serve this, and you're going to miss playoff time if you even make it to the playoffs, because you're going to have to win some tough games down the stretch that you're going to end up missing against division rivals. So I would just take it now and quit fighting it. You're just making it worse on yourself, man. So, all right, that was our quick rapid fire segment. We are going to come back. We're going to talk about the disappointing loss from the Astros against the Yankees and why letting the Yankees hang around is some real trouble. And then the Dodgers beating the Cubs in Game 3. So we will be back right after these messages.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. That was a quick break, and glad to have you all back in here. Thank you for listening to me, Jake LaFleur, the host of this wonderful show, Jake from Sports Talk. Always glad to have you guys in every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. here on Lone Star Community Radio 104.5, 106.1, and worldwide on irlonestar.com. So the Astros. Oh boy, George. Boy, George. You can't let them Yankees hang around. I tell you what, they can be dangerous. It was a tough game to watch last night. Astros had a 4-0 lead, and the Yankees came back, fought back out of the deficit, got 1 off of the starter McCullers, and then took the remaining 5 off of the bullpen to win 6-4 and tie up the series 2-2. And we go into tonight's game with the tied series, Game 5 in New York, with Keuchel on the mound for the Astros and Tanaka on the mound for the Yankees. The highlight here out of this is McCullers pitched 6 innings, gave up 2 hits, 3 Ks, and 1 earned run. 1 earned run was on a home run. It was just his only bad thrown pitch all night. But still, you got 6 innings, 1 run out of your starter. I mean, that's just that you can't ask anything more out of McCullers, and he's got to be incredibly disappointed by his bullpen and what they gave up last night, because they pitched the remaining 4 innings and they allowed 5 runs and 8 hits. 5 runs on 8 hits. And that was between Davinsky, Musgrove, Giles, and Gregerson. I mean, these aren't Musgrove and Giles. Those are like your 2 keys out of the bullpen. That was really, really harsh. But what hurts more is that you didn't give Peacock the Game 4 start. All right, that's fine. I'm not opposed to that idea. I'm okay with the fact that you didn't give him the start, but you had him out of the bullpen. He's been your solid 3rd starter all year long. He's the one who came in and saved you when Keuchel went down, when you had injuries in the starting rotation. He was the one that saved you when you had bullpen injuries. And you're not going to pitch him? You're not going to pitch him at all? I mean, come on. Hinch. That's pathetic. That's terrible. That's bad managing. How are you not going to let arguably your best pitcher this year? I mean, I understand how Cook Keuchel is, and Verlander's new to the team, and he's great. But Peacock has been there for you all year long. I mean, that's like taking a 40-year marriage and saying, forget it, I'm going to divorce you and leave you for a 21-year-old. That's just, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And when you have McCullers go 6 innings, only 1 run, 6 innings, 1 run, why don't you bring in Peacock and let him close the game out for you? Let him pitch that final 4. Let him be your Andrew Miller. Let him pitch. You didn't even have to pitch the final 4. He can go 7th, 8th, and then, final 3. 7th, 8th, and then you can bring in Giles at that point and put him in his traditional closing role. Don't put Giles. Kimbrel and Giles are the same 2 type of closers. They don't do well in the 8th or when they have to get 4 or more outs. That's not their mindset. That's not the way their mind works. It's not the way their arm works. When they know they have to pitch for more than a single inning, mentally they're messed up. It just doesn't work. And frankly, most closers like that are like that. So can just a major league wide thing, can we not pitch closers for 4 outs? Like, please. It makes for sloppy bad baseball, and it makes it unenjoyable to watch. So, Hinch, how do you not pitch Peacock last night? I'm throwing the L on you for that one. So, you can't let the Yankees hang around. There's a lot of mixed opinions out there. There's a lot of mixed opinions. People think the Yankees are going to get the win tonight and go back to Houston and force the Astros to win 2 games. My personal opinion, you're not going to beat Keuchel. You're not going to beat Verlander. Those 2, the way they've pitched this postseason, the way they pitched in the month of September. I know Keuchel was hurt a little while during that stretch, but still, the way they pitched through the last month and a half, 2 months, those 2 are not going to lose, in my opinion. I don't know if you'll necessarily get another 9 out of Verlander, but you might. The way he looks 20 years younger right now, you might actually get another 9-inning game out of him. And you hope it doesn't come down to that. You hope you don't need him to do that. You hope your offense can get you 8, 9, 10 runs. It's not that the bats have been cold, but the bats have not been what they were. Certainly not. So I think and I'm kind of happy we get another game back here in Houston. Maybe I'll actually get a chance to go. My boss is so nice enough to let me leave. But I really don't think Keuchel's going to get the loss tonight. But you have to be careful. The Yankees, the baby bombers, are on fire. They're hot right now. And, I was just thinking about it. Dick, you were questioning me on why I hate the Yankees earlier. And I wanted to just tell you that, I dislike the Yankees because I was born and bred to dislike them, just like most Americans were. Do you have a problem with that?
No, I just find it always funny that they always seem to win.
When you pay for success, I guess, right?
Wasn't that how baseball's set up?
Yeah. Just some people don't want to pay as much. But no, I think don't panic. All right. Don't panic. And Houston fans, while we're on the subject of overreacting, that Rockets win last night, don't overreact. Please don't overreact. The Rockets played well. They played better, but they're not going to win the East or the West. And that's that. And just barring any terrifying, terrible, disastrous injury like what we saw last night to Hayward happening to one of the big 3 for Golden State, they're winning the whole thing. So just don't overreact, please. Now, speaking of a team that you can overreact on, is the Cubs. The Cubs are getting swept tonight. And that's not an overreaction. That's an honest truth. They look depleted. They look defeated. They look like they don't want to play. They look like they don't belong in the same ballpark as the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are just incredibly, incredibly hot right now. And you feel bad. Dodgers won last night, Game 3. They won 6-1. They took a 3-0 lead in the series. And not only do they look like the clear favorite right now to win that NLCS, they also look like the clear favorite to win the whole thing. And I am sad to say that, but they're playing. They're just extremely hot right now. Their pitching is unbelievable. And I mean, Darvish, he looked fantastic last night. Puig is on fire. He is feeling it. He's swinging that bat better than I think I've seen him swing in a long time, especially in the postseason. I don't think we've ever seen him play quite this well in the postseason. I mean, he's calling shots. He's doing bat flips. And I know that we got some baseball purists out there that are like, yeah, treat my baseball with respect. Let my baseball go. Yeah, no. Let's have some fun. It's a bloody game, people. Like, relax for a second. I'm tired of this nonsense of, hey, yeah, we need to, be 100% serious 100% of the time. You can't have any fun because it's baseball, and baseball is very, very boring. No, let's make baseball very, very interesting again. Let's make it a lot of fun. Let's make it back to those roaring 50s and 60s where you had just a true passion and a love for it. And I understand back then that they played. It's got to change with times. If you catch my drift, if you understand what I'm saying, it's got to grow with society, and society is very much look at me now, and I know that those old farts out there don't like that. But listen, let's make baseball interesting. If you love baseball, let it become interesting, so that way the youth gets interested in it. That way we don't have to worry about our children growing up like brain dead football players because they hit each other at 100 miles an hour 100 times a day. Let them go play baseball and have a little white ball thrown 100 miles at their head instead while we swing a bat. That's probably the better way to go about things, right? I mean, the chances of you getting hit or in the head are less likely than getting hit in the head in football. So it's better. We're improving, and it just shows that a simple layup like we saw last night from Hayward can end in quite in horror. Yeah, I'm telling you, if you've got the stomach to go watch that, go watch that. All right, guys, we're running up against the clock. Got to get on out of here. Thanks for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, don't forget you can go and re-listen to it on Google Play and iTunes. And if you would like to see this beautiful unshaven, I'm practicing for No Shave November. I'm going to go for the 2-month stretch. No Shave November and October. Yes, very sexy, very sexy. Come on up and you can check it out at YouTube. Just look up Jake from Sports Talk on Google, YouTube, all that stuff. You'll find me, or go to irlonestar.com. It's got all those links up there. So we will see you back again live next Wednesday from 1 to 2. I'm going to try to find out where Mikey is. I think the Mafia might have him. I don't know. He's disappeared like the guy from Las Vegas. Well, we know where he is now, so maybe we can find Mikey too. It might be possible. All right, guys, have a good rest of your week. We will see you next Wednesday. Out! Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show was recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.